This is lesson 9.5 of accelerated geometry, and it has to do with the circumference of a circle. The circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle. So if I would start here, for instance, and walk around this circle and measure the distance that I am walking, the total distance to get from one point to back to where I started from is the circumference of the circle. This says that we did a computer lab in class about this. If you didn't, don't worry about it. And the question here is, what pattern do I see in this data? So I went to Sketchpad and created a circle, measured its circumference and diameter, here and here, and then did circumference divided by diameter, and I got 3.14, which is the same thing as pi. I did it again with a smaller circle and got the same thing. Circumference over diameter is equal to 3.14, which is pi. I did it again with a larger circle and figured out circumference over diameter is equal to 3.14, which is pi. So what did I have? Circumference over diameter is equal to pi over 1. If I cross multiply, c times 1 is c. Let's do it over here because this isn't working so well. So I'll cross that out, come over here. Circumference, when I do that, is equal to pi times the diameter. So that is one form of the formula for circumference. I can start again and say circumference is equal to pi times diameter, but a diameter is 2 radiuses. Whoops, 2 radiuses. So if I put that in better form, circumference is equal to 2 pi r. So there is the other form of the formula for circumference. So conjecture number 86 says two formulas for circumference of a circle are circumference is equal to 2 pi r, or circumference is equal to pi times d. If we were in school, I'd make you do this investigation where you would measure things to see the formula actually works. This is just another form of the formula. And on this page it says, if you're asked for an exact answer, state your answer in terms of pi. If my answer is 5 pi, that is a more exact answer than going 5 times pi on my calculator and getting some decimal number. Okay, 2 simple problems and then a little bit more complicated one. This one says, if a circle has a diameter of 3 meters, what is the circumference of that circle? Use a calculator and state your answer to the nearest tenth of a meter. So I write the formula, circumference equals pi times diameter. I use that form because they give me the diameter. I put in a diameter of 3. In terms of pi, the exact answer would be 3 pi, but they asked me to round to the nearest tenth of a meter. So when I use my calculator and the pi key and type 3 pi and press the enter key and round it, I get 9.4 meters. In this one, they want me to find the radius if the circumference is 12 pi. So I'm going to use the formula circumference equals 2 pi r. In place of circumference, I'm going to put the 12 pi. So I now have 12 pi equals 2 pi r. If I divide this by 2 pi and this by 2 pi, the 2 and the pi cancel out, and I'll have r. The pi's cancel out, and 12 divided by 2 would be 6. So my answer would be 6 meters. Now this next problem is a little bit more complicated, and it's based on a book called Around the World in 80 Days, and they made a movie out of this also, and the main character was Phineas Fogg, and I think he went around the world in 80 days in a hot air balloon. If we estimate the diameter of Earth is 8,000 miles, find the average speed in miles per hour that Phineas Fogg must travel to circumnavigate, go around the Earth, around the equator in 80 days. So First they say, what's speed? To find speed. Okay, I know from Algebra 1, distance equals rate or speed times time. So if I want to solve for the rate, I divide both sides by t, I get distance over time. So that is what my speed is, distance over time. Okay, so it says you have to know the distance and the time. The distance around the equator is equal to the circumference of a circle that has a diameter of 8,000 miles. So if the diameter is 8,000, I put that in for d, and when I multiply and round to the nearest mile, I get 25,133. So that is the distance around the Earth. So Phileas, I guess, must travel 25,133 miles in 80 days. But they wanted the speed in miles per hour. So speed is distance over time. So here's the distance over the time of 80 days, but they don't want it in 80 days, they want it in hours. So what do I have to do? I want to get rid of the word days, so I'm going to multiply by a fraction, which is 1, that has day on the top. So I know a fact that 1 day is the same thing as 24 hours. So 1 day, 24 hours, both the same, so the same thing over the same thing is just multiplying this by 1. So I'm not changing the value of this first fraction, I'm just changing the way it looks. The word days is going to cancel with the word days, and then I'm going to multiply the tops and get 25,133 divided by whatever 80 times 24 is, and I get 13 miles per hour. So that is how fast the hot air balloon would have to go around the equator of the Earth to make it around in 80 days. So that is the lesson then for section, what was this, 9.5 for geometry. So I think you're now prepared to work on the homework for that section.